Hey everyone, Billy from LM Cases here, and today we are going to take a look at a very cool video Flypack that we just finished up for our friends at Plum Precision. So before we go any farther with showing you the cool details of this particular build, I do want to say thanks to Brian and the Plum team. They never fail to disappoint when it comes to coming up with very innovative and very cool ideas for these fly packs. So this is the third revision of this particular fly pack that we've done. If you want to check out some of the other videos on previous versions, check the link in the description below. So just some background on this so you can kind of get an idea of why we did things the way we did is this particular fly pack is intended to run video production on corporate shows. It is also designed to be based around Mac laptops and iMacs. So looking at the top here, we have 3 articulating monitor mounts. Now these monitor mounts, the far right and left ones, are designed to hold 27-inch iMacs, with the center one being designed to hold a 32-inch multi-view monitor. So these are the same mounts on all 3, and they work by taking a Chief K2W mount and interfacing it with a telescoping pole. So this mount will go fully out like this. It will also spin if you want to orient the monitor in any way. So we are taking this mount, using a custom plasma cut bracket and a tech lock to interface it to an upright pole. Now the mounts will slide up and down on the upright poles, and then the poles, there is a secondary lever on the bottom there that will allow these to fold down during use, which is incredibly difficult to show you while I'm holding a camera. So you'll have to use your imagination on that one, or we'll have to get creative and edit that in later. So looking at the top of the work surface here, we have 3 2U rack bays. Now the purpose of these are to bring the iMac connections left and right down to the work surface. And then also on this center panel, this provides power and an additional I/O for laptops, and also it brings some of the iMac connections into the center panel. So let's start at the left panel here. This is giving you a courtesy duplex outlet that has 2 Edisons and 2 USBs. You have a USB-A and a USB-C for charging. It brings our network switch, which I'll show you guys here in a second, port 1, to give you wired LAN at the work surface. Now, to that end, we did label all of the ports on this particular build with their corresponding port number on the switch in case you are using a VLAN or a static IP. So below the work surface here are docks. Now, the way that the docks work is they will bring some of the connectivity of the iMacs into this panel. So the intended purpose of this is you'll mount your iMac to the pole mount with, well, I should say, the black section of the mount will remain attached to the iMac. So one of the reasons why the tech lock is important is when it comes time to either wrap the show or load the show in, all you have to do is just remove this one mechanism with the iMac attached. With the tech lock, it's a very simple mechanism, and then that stores into the case right here. So the iMac slides into this compartment, and then the mount mechanism slides into this. Now the secondary iMac is actually stored behind the multi-view monitor compartment. So going back to the rack panel, you guys have to stay with me here. I apologize for skipping around. The power for the iMac will come from this outlet right here, and then any connectivity will be addressed by this attached tethered Thunderbolt cable right here. Now, the output of the dock that is located below the work surface gives us 2 USB-As and a USB-C located in this panel, so that if you have a dongle or a hard drive or something like that, you can access it right here. So once the case is plugged into the network, as an example, the network will come from this singular Thunderbolt cable right here. And unfortunately, a Thunderbolt a Thunderbolt panel mount cable does not exist, so we are forced to use a USB-C panel mount and have to have the disclaimer on the rack panel that the USB-C is unfortunately not Thunderbolt compatible. So on the center panel here, you do have 2 duplex outlets for a total of 4 AC outlets. There's also a spaced Edison, so that if you have something that's larger, like a wall wart AC adapter kind of thing like that, you don't have to consume 2 outlets. Sometimes with the different shaped power bricks, you can burn both outlets by just plugging one thing in. So I always do like to include a spaced snap-in Edison whenever possible, just to give you an option, so if you have something big to plug in. Now the center of this panel has iMac L for left and iMac R for right. This brings 2 of the dock ports into the center, so that if you're working from the center of, if you're working in the center of the slide-out shelf right here, and you need to plug in a dongle or a hard drive or something like that, you don't have to reach over the person next to you to get to their computer. This is also designed to accommodate an additional 2 Mac Pro laptops. There are another 2 ports, or 2 docks located below the surface, and access to those docks are with these tethered Thunderbolt cables. Now, looking back on the, looking over at the right-hand panel, it is exactly the same as the left-hand panel. It just has a different port number on the Ethernet. So looking at the work surface extended, this work surface is built out of 3/4-inch Baltic birch finished with black textured coating. It's mounted on heavy-duty locking glides. So we are giving you a stainless steel cabinet handle to pull this out. And then these blue tabs that come out of here are the locking mechanisms to make sure that the surface is locked in place. Now in the front of the work surface, there is a 1 REU section right here for a ClearComm base station. This also includes a custom snake to access all of the ins and outs of that ClearComm base station. And within that loom, we also include a locking IEC cable just to ensure that that connection doesn't come unplugged. Now, for the sake of this video, I pulled that loom out from underneath of the work surface so that you can see it. But that will allow everything to remain connected during use. So looking at the back here, this is what we did with the dock. So there are 4 of these OWC docks, 2 on the right, 2 on the left, with their power bricks being in the center. So some of the things that we like to do here at LM is we will get a little obsessive in terms of neatness of cabling. So the power bricks needed to have a place where they could remain relatively cool and out of the way. So what we decided to do on this particular build is put them in this center compartment. And we took all of the power cables apart and made this custom snake so that they would all, so you could plug them in with one singular cable, and they would also look nice and neat in the center. Some of that attention to detail also goes into the docks here. All of the USB cables that are mounted into the back of the dock say the destination on them, where they're plugged into. The docks are also labeled so that it says what dock it is. Say, for example, this is dock A. It is powering iMac left, and it also takes any pertinent information. So in this example, the serial number. So if there's a tech support issue, they can call without pulling the docks out. And here is just another look of the case with the work surface pulled out. So looking at the side of the case here, this is the main patch section for all of the I/O that will be installed in the case. So power is brought into the system with a 25-foot custom-built PowerCon cable that's built by us. Here at LM, our house brand of cables that we build here is called LM Tor Systems. So if you want to check that out, that is if you're interested in cabling and things like that, you can buy those direct from us on our web store, lmcasesonline.com, under the LM Tor Systems tab, should you want to have LM branded cables, which who doesn't really? So this is the main I/O section for the entire case. And this brings everything that would be coming in and out of the case into one central location. So the audio input, the audio output, 2 network jacks, HDMIs, and then a whole bunch of SDIs that will correspond to equipment that Plum will be installing in the rack section. So as far as integration goes, what I always like to tell people is that we are a wholesale integrator, meaning that we will prep the system as much as we can so that when the case goes to its final end user, they can mount the final end points of equipment and do wiring and programming. But things like making cables, so as an example, these are the tails that are coming off of the rack panel. On the right hand here, this is the ClearCom loom that is coming down. You know, we're also handling power here. This is a Furman 20 amp power conditioner that will be handling basically the main power switch for the whole rig, and also just lighting and keeping things nicely conditioned. Below the rack section here, we do have a heavy duty drawer. This drawer is built out of 1/2-inch Baltic birch mounted on heavy-duty Accuride glides and finished with black texture coating. We have used the same drawer glides here at LM since the early 90s. Very, very heavy-duty Accuride drawer glides. They work well. You can load these drawers with a lot of weight, and they will withstand all of the rigorous bouncing around in the back of a truck during tours. So let's take a look at the back of the rack section. So at the back of the rack section here, we do have a trap door that closes that allows you to have full access to the back here. We are using my favorite Triplite RS1215 power distribution unit. And we are also providing a network switch here, which all of the network connections do have a custom heat shrink label showing what each of the connections are. And one of the things that we also like to do here is the WAN cable. I generally try to make this red. In this instance, because we have 2 network connections addressed on the patch panel, I made them both red so that you're having the WAN and also the LAN addressed as red, just to keep things a little bit separate from the rest of the network connections. So to close this video out, once again, thank you so much to Brian and the Plum team. We really, really love working with you guys. It's always a fun project. These cases are always very cool and creative, and we're looking very much forward to what you come up with for Rev 4. So if you have any questions about this build or any of the other videos that you've seen on YouTube, you can send me an email, billy@lmcases.com. You can also check us out on Instagram, LM_cases, for real-time videos. Generally on these YouTube videos, it takes us a while to get them edited. So if you want to see projects like this unfold in real time, check us out on Instagram. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, you can also leave a comment below. We will catch you on the next one.